Hey everyone, this is just a quick little overview of how to use this new photographer's marketing kit that I've created to help you create social media posts and promotional posts, things we typically don't think about as photographers, but great ways to just make professional looking reels, stories, and kind of promo posts and ads for your business. But I wanted to just take a quick run through of the layers in here. There's not a lot to deal with, but there is a little spot if you're not familiar with using smart objects that's going to be helpful to see how to do this. So starting up, there's 7 different kind of background design options in here. Each one has a file for a 9x16 for your stories and reels and things like that. And each file has a matching one in a 3:4, which is good for just doing your posts directly into like Instagram or Facebook or something like that. But in design number 1, if we open this up, of course I just have my sample logo in there. That's just showing like if you want to drop a logo in, that's a great place to do it, right at the top there. Then we just have simple text at the top, so that can be changed. So you can make that say anything that you want it to. On this particular one, I just have "It's time to show off" on there as kind of the little marketing idea for this one, but feel free to change that. As always, the links to the font files that are being used are on the product page, so you can grab those from there. If we drop below here, we'll see that we have a couple layers, one clipped to the other. So this is called the side binding text. So there's actually some readable text if we would zoom in on the side binding of this top magazine right here. So just called this one the senior season. But if you wanted to change it, this text is within a smart object. All you need to do is double click on this layer thumbnail right here, and that's going to open up a new document window, and it actually has that text in it. You can see it's just in white here. If we would change the color of black, you can actually see that there. Okay, and you could just double click here and you could change this to anything you want. If you were newborn photographer or something, you could change this to newborns. Whatever you want that to be, just make sure it fits within this canvas. So if it were long enough, let's say the newborns, right? See, it starts to go outside the canvas a little bit. Well, I would just Command or Control T, slightly resize that so it's not getting cut off the canvas. And then let's switch this back to white text here. Then when you close this window, it's going to ask if you want to save this, and you're just going to say yes. And you're going to see it's going to update that text to fit the shape and perspective of that binding there on that magazine. And then a clip to that, this is just taking that white text and it's darkening it down so it feels like it's in the shadow of that shadow side of the magazine there. All right, so that's what those layers are doing. So let's reset that. All right, coming on down, you're going to see a couple more layers clipped to this layer marked in red. Now, the layer marked in red is where your images are going to go. But before we get to that, we're going to see there's this, to create this more realistic look that there's lighting and shadow coming across this top, that's getting added by a couple layers here. You can see if we turn those off, it just looks very flat and not dimensional at all. So the first layer that's clipped here, that's creating this little edge glare on the edge of the magazine. Shouldn't need to ever mess with that. And then this one here is creating that top kind of lighting brightness glare coming across the top from this window light. Again, shouldn't have to mess with that, but that's what those layers are doing. And below that, this is our smart object where we're going to put our image in, which we'll do that in just a second. But just look at these couple layers here. This is the edge color for that magazine. So if you wanted to make that brighter, you certainly could. Again, it's in a shadow area, so typically you want that a little bit darker. But if you wanted to come in and match that to your image and make it, more of a dark green or orange or yellow or something, you can easily change that so it kind of blends with your cover image. And then just the background plate itself is here. But now, for the image, we're using a smart object because we're applying some warp and some perspective and bending and different things like that to get it to fit this cover. So to drop your image in so that you don't have to fit that every time, smart object is a great way to leverage that. So all you need to do is double click again on this smart object. That's going to open up the new document window. And in this, you're going to see just a simple place to drop a flat image. Again, just my sample logo. If you wanted to drop your logo to be on the cover of the magazine as well, you can. You don't have to. There's just a little quote or saying. Again, it's just editable text. You could change that to anything that you want. And then just your cover text at the top here. Again, all easily changeable. And then we're just going to drop our photo below that. So all we need to do is drop an image in. And once it loads up, we're just going to resize it to make sure that it fits. So I'm just going to grab a corner here. I'm going to give Shift-Alt. And I'm just going to make sure this, covers our top and bottom edge. But then I'm going to reposition this image where I want it to be, which is going to be somewhere more like in here. So making sure I'm not getting cut off the top or the bottom. Let's bring that down just a little bit. And for this one, because he's a little higher in the image, I'm actually going to move this text up. So I'm going to grab these and just use my arrow key and just bump these up a little bit off of his face there. There we go, something right like that. So once your image is in, all you need to do is close this window, say yes to save it, and bam, there you go. It gets automatically morphed and applied to fit as that cover. All right, as easy as that. So if we go to the next one, let's look at sample number 2. It's going to be the same approach right here. So sample logo at the top. Here's our top text layers that can be changed. Here's some shadowing. So that's the shadow of the crease to create the dimensionality. Here's our page shadow and things on the right, so we don't need to mess with that. But let's double click here. We're going to drop our image in on this side. Let's just drop in. Let me grab another image up here. Let's say we use this one right here. And I'm going to resize this one. Oh, not that big. Let me get out here again where I can see what I'm doing. Let's go just a little bit bigger. There we go. And then I'm going to scoot this over. There we go. I'm going to close this, save it, yes. That's going to update my page right there. And you're going to see there's actually another page in this one, and this one has actual text in it. It's just some text created about senior year and the experience of senior year. So if somebody would zoom in, it actually is readable text. And you could update that. So you can see that page over here, it's also marked in red. So it's got all the page shadows and things applied to it. But if we double click on this layer, you can see this is all editable text. You could change this to say whatever you wanted it to, but you could also drop another image in. So if you wanted to turn that off, you absolutely could come in and let's do this. We could drop another image on here. Let's get this one to fit. Scooch it over. There we go. And we could close and apply this. And you could use that as a, basically a full spread with a couple different images on there. So you could do that, or you could use the text. Either way, very simply in there. Now you will see there is this page color cast. So to keep it from being that stark white and again feeling a little unnatural, that is just adding a little bit more depth onto that page so it feels a little more subdued and a little more realistic. So that's what that's for. And then you got the background plate behind that. So again, very easy to use and update in there. And so it's going to be the same process in every one of these. So it's just got a couple different elements in each one. So different background plate, the shadowing and things a little bit different on each one. If we go into the Smart Object, this one has a different style of cover. You could always copy this than the other one. It's got some different like headings and things that can be changed that are just simple text. This one actually has a border on it that can be turned on or off. But once again, you're going to see it's literally as simple as dropping your image in. Just making sure that things fit. Now for something like that, she's a little high in that one. So I don't know if I want to use that image. Let me see if I've got one that gives a little bit more space. Let's do this one. Let's see what it looks like. There we go. Now I can drop her down from here. That looks cool. So we can apply that. Of course, you could change the color of your text and all that kind of thing very easily. Close and save. And you can see that updates that one. Super simple. And so all these are that easy. If you don't want to change any text or anything, it's as simple as just finding your red layer, double click, open it up, dropping your new image in. Let's see. Let's do this one. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger just so I can drop that down to something like that. Maybe we want to move the text on this one away from her face. There we go. Close, save. Boom, there's that one updated. So you can see if you're not making a lot of changes, it's very quick. Just come in, drop your images in. Let's find a couple more here. Let's do this one. And let's drag it down behind our text so it goes over top here. And let's close this. Save it. Yes. And then same thing for the next page. We'd open this one up. Drop our new image in. Let's resize this one. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. There we go. I think that would look kind of cool for a page. Close that. There we go. That updates that one. And we'll just do a couple more here just to show, again, sample logos, our text that's in there. You can see this page here has a lot of different shadow and glare happening to create that effect. So we'll just leave those on. But let's double click, and this one's set up a little bit different too. So again, to look a bit like a magazine spread, it's got some copy in here, which could be edited. It's just simple text. You could change that to say whatever you want. Again, that just has something to do with the class of 2027. That's that background that's blocking it out from the image. There's our little text title. And then our text group up here, again, it's just text layers that's grouped together to create, our kind of like banner text up here. But our image, this one, the only difference on this one, because it's only a partial image, is we want to clip this image to this layer instead of just placing it. So in other words, if we make this large, let's go ahead and save that. I'm going to hold Alt or Option, and I'm going to clip it to that layer. So just to be sure that it's not spreading up above that box that we've set. I'm going to actually flip this one. I'm going to do it this way so that text is not overlapping her. And let's maybe put her up in the image there. That looks pretty cool right there. And you could always move this box around and thing if you need to keep an image a certain way. You can always, shift all the logos and boxes. So again, it's completely customizable. We'll save that one. So there's that page. And let's drop our next one in. Let's do this one. And I'm just going to leave that one the size it is to fill the frame. Close and save. There we go. There's a new spread there as well. And one last time here. Same thing. You're going to see all the same types of layers in here. When I find the red one, we're going to double click. Again, you could edit, you could change this text, but we're basically going to find what image we want to place in here. Size it how we want it. Maybe something like that. Close. Yes. And bam, it's going to update it. So there you can see it's really easy to use these. Once you just figure out that smart object and how to place them in there, it's going to go very fast, and you can create these and create lots of variety and things like that. I like to do 7 of them because it gives you, basically if you want to do a campaign, 1 every day of the week, then you could change your images and do 1 every day of the week again. And so it just keeps a nice flow to do, say, a monthly or a quarterly campaign where you're building a same concept or something, but make it also very easy to update so you can get that stuff out there quickly. All right, hope you get a lot of use out of these. I can't wait to see you guys using these. Please share if you come up with something really cool or some customizations. Always love to see what you're doing. And as always, I will see you on the next video.